Hi, I'm Phil, and in the last couple of days, I've been testing two watches. The first one to arrive was the LeGo, and this is the T-Watch 2020 version 3. And this will be the focus of my video today. But the other watch is the Bangle.Js version 2. And it's a fairly updated new release. And this will be the feature of my next video. So back to the LeGo. And what I'll do is use this mind map to go through it. And later on, I'll give you a live demonstration of what I've done so far. So the LeGo and the Bangle.Js are both 32-bit computers. And in this case, the LeGo is based on the ESP32. And I've had lots of experience with that, with my projects using M5Stack computers, such as the StickC and the Core 2 computer. And this computer's got loads of peripherals, and it's gone through 3 iterations already for the release of version 3. Now, what makes this interesting is the design concept. It's wearable, programmable, you can connect it to the network, and you can interact with it. Now, for me, being able to program it is important. And I researched the computer before, and I could see that many of the programs were on the Arduino IDE, and you could program it in C++. For communications, there's the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and there's a UART. So you to do the programming on the Arduino IDE, you would just plug in the micro USB connector and then connect that to a UART or a comms port on your Windows PC. Good display, 240 by 240, good color. And the specifications, you can see all the detail here. And everything's open sourced, and you can go right down and get the data sheets on all of these peripherals. So things like the accelerometer help with the exercise algorithms, such as counting steps. The power management feature is there and utilized. And it's quite incredible because the battery is only 240 milliamp hours. And it gives a reasonable performance, although it's only for a couple of days. And I bought it on eBay at just under $83 and $2 postage from China. And I'm now going through the commissioning. Just before we do that, in the hardware, there's a little bit of detail, not a lot, but it does give you the GPIO pins, and you can see from here all the different functions that are there. And that will help when you, after you've studied that, you can then go into the software. Now, the original firmware looks as if it's quite complicated. And this chap here, Dirk, is the one that's compiled both the best operator's manual on the functions, although it's more of a list of what that you would find yourself if you just navigated through it. There's code, and it's all done in C++. And he's also got an interesting collection of watch faces. But I suspect that you're not going to be able to do that firmware development on Arduino IDE, and he used platform IO. So I think to actually use this watch, you're going to have to be pretty good at platform IO if you want to, say, download the complete firmware again. And the support from LilyGo is to originally suggest setting up a Git environment, then go into the Arduino IDE. But more recently, on the package that I received, it came with instructions for installing everything directly on the Arduino IDE. And I've now done that, so I'm ready to go and do some programming. But just touring through the libraries, there's nothing there on the original firmware. It's more or less to do some demonstration projects on some unit tests, like printing something or displaying something on the screen if you press the button. And it does that for all of the peripherals, but almost nothing on integration. Going back to the original firmware, it's quite complex, and you have to configure the configuration file to define your particular watch. It looks like you could also use Python, but so far I haven't seen any instructions on doing that. Okay, so if you stay on, you can see what I've done in the commissioning. And what works is that the display works. I compare it with Bluetooth, but on the display you get the time, which is set for 2 years ago. And I can't change that. There is no way that I can change the time. So that's really a big deficit of this watch. You can't use it immediately. And I can't pair. I wasn't able to do a connection to the Windows comms and do any adjustments. Many of the apps don't work. They're just rubbish. And unlike the Bangle.Js, the Bangle.Js works within minutes of opening the package. 4 days later, I can't even adjust the time on this watch. One way I explored it was to see if I could set up a Wi-Fi connection and adjust the time that way, but I haven't been successful in doing that. In the communications, what I would have expected to do was to get a good USB serial connection. But when I connect the watch to the Windows serial port, nothing comes up on the Windows device manager. So if you look at ports here, all my Bluetooth connections are there, but it has not identified the watch. Strange. The Bluetooth can pair with the PC, but there's nothing else you can do with it. There's no app, there's nothing. And I can't see anything even to pair it with an Android or a Apple iOS device. So it looks as if there's plenty at the unit level, but perhaps that's to come. And so I need help. And I've emailed LilyGo, and there's been pretty good response so far. So I've gone to all these people, and they've all responded. I've also reached out to Telegram and YouTube, and there's been some reaction there. I've also gone back to the supplier on eBay, and I'm having negotiations to see what the outcome will be there. But so far that has ended up in the supplier saying that I should repair the watch myself, which I find unsatisfactory. So I'm likely to open up a case with eBay on that. Okay, so the overall feeling of this watch is that it was a complete waste of money, and I do not recommend it. Here are some of my references, and you can go to LilyGo, has a few references on the internet, but they're pretty scattered, and it's not well documented. Okay, that's all for now. So on unpacking the T-Watch 2020, you'll find inside the instruction manual, which is only really for programming by the Arduino IDE. So this is a fairly well set out instructions, and it's worth keeping. And the watch itself, I've taken it out, but you also get the micro USB connection cable. So this comes, and you can use this to power the watch. So on the side there's a connection, and the micro USB socket goes in here. And this is what the face of the watch looks like. So when you look at it, so it's already set up for a time of 2020. And one of the problems I've got is that there's no way to change that time. I can't find anything. So if you move and scroll across, you'll find some of the apps. And most of these apps don't work. So it's very disappointing. And there is some, if you scroll down, let's see if we can do this. I'll put it down and use my other hand. There we go. You can see that there's another adjustment here. So if you want to pair with Bluetooth, you just turn the Bluetooth on. And you can see that I'm having to do this a number of times. And yeah, I've got the satellite on the left. There's a satellite connection, and now I've got the Bluetooth eventually. So it's a bit unresponsive, not very good. And I can adjust the how loud the speaker is, and adjust the display brightness. Of all the other apps, none of them work very well. So if you look at, say, let's see if we can pick one. I don't know, so perhaps the calendar one. It just dies. Once you've selected it, nothing happens. There, we're back to it now. So a lot of the apps are like that. They're quite immature, and they don't work very well. Okay, so to get this to work with a PC, what you do is, I'll put the camera down, and you connect the watch with the PC, and you need to do this to power it. So it's got no problems in powering. Okay, so we've now powered, and we might go back to the start, turn it on, turn it off with the button on the side, and we're back there again. Now, once I connect it to the PC, what should happen is that when I go to the device manager, see if I can find it here. So if I go to Device Manager, I should get the device showing on the ports. It should become a comms port. Now, to illustrate how you do that, is that if I get a another ESP32 computer, which is this one here, and when I connect it and go to Device Manager, it's recognized immediately as COM3. Now that doesn't happen when I go to the ESP32 device by plugging and unplugging. It doesn't come up on the Device Manager at all compared to other computers. Okay, so that's it for the time being, and so far this is my experience with the watch, the T-Watch 2020, and I don't recommend this watch to anyone.